A busy end of the U.S. Supreme Court session. We're already seeing the ramifications of one recent ruling in the West, and some people, including President Biden, are putting out a warning about another ruling handed down today.
This decision today has continued the court's attack in recent years on a wide range of long-established legal principles in our nation.
Good evening. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Greg Lee. Today's Supreme Court ruling sent former President Trump's immunity case back to a lower court. We'll break down how that could impact the future of this year's presidential campaign in a moment. But first, we're seeing another city in the West follow through with a crackdown on people sleeping outside. Fox 12's Carly Olson reports Portland, Oregon's action comes just days after a Supreme Court ruling that gave local governments more power to regulate homelessness.
As of Monday, those found in violation of the ban could face up to a $100 fine or up to a week in jail if they have access to shelter and choose not to accept it. We did not see any enforcement taking place on Monday, but we did speak to some downtown business owners who say they've already started to see the results of this change.
And then, of course, people are saying, well, that's, a camping ban is not the solution, but I feel like it's a start.
John Helmer III runs his family's century-old haberdashery on the corner of Southwest Salmon and Broadway. Like many businesses, they observed an influx of nearby campers during the COVID-19 pandemic. But Helmer says in recent weeks, the tide has turned.
Generally, people who come down many times, at least recently, have been pleasantly surprised that it's maybe not quite as bad as it seems.
The change comes as the city of Portland's new camping ban takes effect, ramping up the punishments for campers who refuse shelter if it's available.
But it's definitely a lot better. It doesn't feel like there's as many as there used to be.
Rhonda Nienberg owns Hendricks and McGuire Optical, and she believes increased bike patrols have helped the issue as well. But though it's been tough as a business owner, she says she feels torn about the camping ban itself.
I have mixed feelings about that. As a business owner, I think it's a good idea to keep campers away from businesses. For the people that don't have homes, I have empathy for them, but I also need to make my business successful.
She hopes the new law that's replacing Measure 110 and going into effect September 1st, making it a crime to possess small amounts of hard drugs, will help the problem even more. She and Helmer both tell us they can't deny the evidence of a positive change.
After the Rose Festival and Pride and everything that's been going on downtown with the activities and stuff, and now it feels like Portland is starting to come back.
It's been a positive road, slowly, but yeah, going in the right direction.
The City Council unanimously passed this ban on May 8th after attempting to pass a similar ban last year that would have meant harsher restrictions on camping and higher punishments for those who do not comply. Reporting in downtown Portland, Carly Olson, Fox 12 Oregon.
A lot of homeless people in Portland worry this ban will only hinder their efforts to secure more permanent housing.
Constantly moving you around, people then start to not carry things with them they need for cooking and cleaning and maintaining themselves or having any hope of moving their lives forward. Eventually they stop carrying those things, and that's part of why you start getting messy camps. They don't want to live in filth.
Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler says the ordinance is meant to connect people living on the street with resources, not to criminalize homelessness. Some homeless advocates say more resources are needed to help everyone on the street.
And there are people who would like to access shelter, but we don't yet have all of the shelter that we need to meet the diverse needs of people in our community.
The city is posting flyers in encampment areas warning people about the ordinance.
For all practical purposes, today's decision almost certainly means that there are virtually no limits on what a president can do.
President Biden sounding off tonight against the new U.S. Supreme Court ruling. Today's decision makes it even more likely that former President Trump will not face trial in an election interference case before November's election. The president's comments came hours after protesters returned to the U.S. Supreme Court building. They carried signs opposing this morning's decision that former presidents have broad immunity from criminal prosecution for official acts. President Biden says the Supreme Court decision is a dangerous precedent, leaving any future president, including Trump, if he is elected, free to ignore the law. President Biden said the American people also deserve to know whether former President Trump would be convicted for his alleged assault on democracy before the election. Former President Trump took to social media after the ruling saying, quote, "Big win for our Constitution and democracy. proud to be an American. Trump had argued that he had immunity from federal charges stemming from January 6th and his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. The Supreme Court found that the former president enjoys absolute immunity for acts within his core constitutional powers. Chief Justice John Roberts, writing for the majority, said there is no immunity for unofficial acts, but he left it up to the lower courts to decide which acts are official or unofficial.
Chief Justice Roberts made it clear that he was not writing only, and the court wasn't just writing for Donald Trump, it was also writing with respect to future presidents to ensure that they have the kind of bold and unhesitating authority that they can exercise with respect to discharging their constitutional responsibilities.
The 6-3 decision came along ideological lines, with the 3 liberal justices dissenting. Legal scholars say the ruling could also affect the former president's indictment in the state of Georgia for alleged election interference. Earlier, we asked Loyola Marymount law professor Jessica Levinson about the potential political fallout of the ruling.
The political implications are, I think, basically the legal implications in some ways, because I don't think that this trial is going to trial before the election. If he wins, he has said fairly specifically that he would make this case go away by trying to order his appointed attorney general to dismiss the case. And so our chances of this case being held in, again, an open court, a full airing of the issues here diminishes to near zero, I believe, if President Trump does win.
Professor Levinson said some acts that would be considered immune from prosecution would include pressure on former Vice President Mike Pence to certify false electors. The decision already having broader impacts. Former President Trump's legal team this evening asking a New York judge to set aside his conviction in the hush money case and delay his sentencing that is set for July 11th. A new round of flash flooding compounds problems for wildfire victims in parts of New Mexico. Heavy rains flooded sections of Ruidoso yesterday. These images posted to social media show first responders using excavators and other heavy equipment to carry some people to safety. One mobile home community looks swamped. There are still some scattered showers in the region tonight. Evacuation orders are in effect for Ruidoso's Upper Canyon area. Last month's fires killed 2 people, destroyed about 1,000 homes, and charred more than 25,000 acres. Investigators suspect humans caused it. Firefighters have Oregon's Darlene 3 fire 75% contained tonight. Many crews still in the fire zone about 30 miles south of Bend are searching for hot spots. The Central Oregon Fire Management Service expects to be able to hand over the rest of the firefighting effort to local crews by tomorrow morning. The Darlene 3 fire has burned nearly 3,900 acres since last week. Investigators also suspect humans caused this fire. Fire departments across the West are encouraging people to leave 4th of July fireworks to the pros. Even if you live in an area where fireworks are legal, they want you to understand the risk you take when setting off small explosions. Fox 10's Irene Snyder reports those risks include lifelong injury and creating larger fires.
Fireworks can be extremely dangerous, and the Phoenix Fire Department says it's important to know how to handle them correctly.
We'd rather lean on the side of caution than not.
Every year, fireworks cause house fires that can be avoided by using legal fireworks and having water ready to put them out.
You don't know where it's going to go, and you don't want this sort of situation where it ends up on a roof and lights your neighbor's, house on fire. That's not something you want to own.
A surgeon with Valleywise Health says most of the 4th of July cases are burns, but some are more serious.
But every once in a while, we'll see an explosive type injury that is really deforming and disabling.
He says all firework injuries are preventable.
Again, we recommend that people just don't do this, but if you're going to do it, be really, really careful.
And they not only create risk for people, but also for animals.
Our increase of stray animal intake goes up significantly during the 4th of July.
The Arizona Humane Society says they often see scared dogs and cats run off because of the loud noise. They urge pet owners to never leave an animal outside by themselves. The Phoenix Police and Fire Departments want you to call if you see or hear something unsafe.
We're here to make sure everybody's safe. We're here to respond and protect and serve, and that's what we're going to do.
Firefighters say when you're done celebrating, make sure you get rid of the fireworks properly. You need to soak them in water for 24 hours, double bag them, and throw them in the trash. Irene Snyder, Fox 10 News.
New images from Cal Fire show how close the wildfire got to homes in California's Central Valley. The Fresno June lightning complex fire started 1 week ago today after a series of lightning strikes in the area. You'll notice these images show a burn scar within feet of some homes. We have no word of any houses being lost. The fire is 78% contained. It has charred more than 10,600 acres. A worst-case scenario for church leaders coming up. See how they're training to handle active shooters in Las Vegas. And Tijuana's mayor says there's a scam running at the border. We'll break down how it gives some people special treatment trying to cross.
And a live look here over the San Francisco Bay Area, where parts will see a red flag warning tonight, and by tomorrow, excessive heat warnings. A better look at the west coming up.
The mayor of Tijuana, Mexico, says a special medical lane designed to get patients across the border quickly is being abused. The lane was set up years ago as an incentive to get people to visit Tijuana for medical and dental procedures. But the mayor says some doctors and police officers are selling access to the lane to people who are not receiving medical care south of the border. The mayor is demanding an investigation by Mexico's Economic Development Office, which sells the passes to doctors. States across the country enacted new laws today for gun retailers. In California, gun stores will now have their own retail code from credit card companies that flags any purchases to the customer's bank. California is now the 17th state to put some limits on category codes for gun retailers. Advocates of the law say it'll help flag suspicious purchases that could lead to future gun violence.
Our hope and belief is that because of that oversight, we'll see a decline in active shooter situations, and we'll see the banking system closing its door to gun traffickers.
As the law takes effect in California, other states such as Georgia, Iowa, Tennessee, and Wyoming are doing the opposite by blocking special retail codes that indicate a gun retailer. Some Las Vegas church leaders hope new training will help protect their congregations from gun violence. Fox 5's Shauna Khalifi shows us how.
Las Vegas Metro Police and the Black Police Association partnered with local places of worship Saturday for an active shooter preparedness training.
We just want to be prepared, learn what we can, what the training's about, and if we need to make improvements in security, then maybe take that to our church and implement it.
Because it's better to have, I always say, this kind of training, and we're hopeful that we never have to use it. Okay, than to actually need it and not have ever taken advantage of the training that was available.
Metro says the training is in response to a critical need for increased safety measures in public and private sectors, including places of worship.
We want to try to bridge that gap, and we want to try to bring awareness to the community. I think collectively, we as a village, we as a community, can protect each other and help each other out.
The training included tactics to respond effectively to an active shooter situation, to run, hide, or fight if it comes to that. It also taught strategies to recognize potential threats and report them to prevent a shooting from happening in the first place.
Every one of us can learn the signs of what to look for, or have seen it in people with mental issues, etc., that they might be bringing up or talking about doing something. Keep your eyes open. Don't be afraid to speak up if you see something very unusual or something that's concerning to you.
Shauna Khalifi, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
Get ready for soaring temperatures in the run-up to the 4th of July. This is a live look at Southern California's Santa Monica Beach, where some people are already looking for a break from the heat. From the Pacific Northwest to Phoenix, pockets of West Coast communities will face excessive heat warnings this week. Let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Rosemary Orozco, who's tracking those climbing temperatures. Rosemary?
Yes, Craig, it's going to be all about that excessive heat and heightened fire danger as we move through the holiday week. Here's a look at Phoenix this afternoon. Scattered showers and temperatures 111 degrees this afternoon. So very hot and very humid over areas of the desert Southwest. Meanwhile, Palm Springs at 114 this afternoon, Sacramento 104, Las Vegas 107. Temperatures are beginning to cool off, but again, they are going to be back up as early as tomorrow afternoon, expected to get even hotter. Let's take a look at the West Coast satellite here, pointing over towards the desert Southwest, where we talked about the flooding concerns going on over New Mexico today. today. You can see how this moisture is pulling in from the south, that monsoonal moisture we typically get this time of year over areas of Arizona as well as Albuquerque and parts of New Mexico, where that flood watch continues until 3 a.m. Meanwhile, the rest of the west pretty much dominated by this high pressure that is going to move farther west and park itself right over us for the holiday week. Here's a look at the Futurecast model. Notice how we begin to see the circulation here right off our coastline and expected to move inland into the coming days. And with that, temperatures will continue to climb. Take a look at the advisories already piling up over the entire west. Most of the state of California under either an excessive heat warning, a red flag warning, a poor air quality advisory for tomorrow. And again, this is expected to be prolonged. We're talking about several days, likely to be the longest stretch of heat we see so far this year. Meanwhile, in areas over the Pacific Northwest, the excessive heat watch doesn't begin until Thursday, which is the 4th of July, and will go until Sunday. It's going to take a little longer before it actually hits this area. But if I step out of the way, take a look at the advisories going on over California. Everybody except for the coastline and the Sierra foothills and into the mountains going to be under some type of advisory. We're talking about the heightened fire danger. We're talking about excessive heat for temperatures expected to reach 110 degrees, where you do see those shades of pink. As we shift over towards Southern California, just as bad, and Las Vegas as well. So this is going to continue during the time frame when folks want to be out and about. We have parades going on Thursday. We have folks that want to get out in their backyards and grill. Definitely something to be aware of. Temperature-wise, in the low 80s for LA over the next few days. Phoenix above 110. San Francisco going to be well above average, but there are inland areas of the San Francisco Bay Area going to be baking. Greg.
Rosemary, thank you. As the TSA faces the busiest travel week of the year so far, Boeing is making headlines. The company is weighing a plea deal. At the same time, it announced that it's working to integrate the manufacturing process at factories, including its biggest one in Washington State. Fox Business correspondent Grady Trimble has that story.
Federal prosecutors have proposed a plea deal for Boeing in connection with 2 deadly plane crashes involving its 737 MAX jetliners. The company must now decide by the end of the week whether to take the deal and plead guilty to fraud or risk going to trial. The Justice Department alleges Boeing misled federal regulators about the safety of their planes and pilot training requirements before the 2018 and 2019 crashes. Last month, victims' families pushed for a full-blown trial.
Justice is for them to held accountable and be criminally charged and to face us in trial.
Concerns about safety have been plaguing Boeing lately, most notably the terrifying door plug blowout in January. Under pressure, Boeing announcing Monday it'll reacquire its supplier, Spirit AeroSystems, which builds the fuselage of its 737 MAX jets. In recent years, Spirit's quality problems have mounted. It's gone through a leadership change and laid off hundreds of workers. Company officials hope bringing Spirit and Boeing back together will enable greater integration. Outgoing Boeing president and CEO Dave Calhoun says in a statement, "We believe this deal is in the best interest of the flying public, our airline customers, the employees of Spirit and Boeing, our shareholders, and the country more broadly." Problems at Spirit have disrupted production and delivery of popular Boeing jetliners, including 737s and 787s. In Washington, Grady Trimble, Fox Business.
A new museum dedicated to poop. Yes, it's a thing here in the West. See how it's teaching people history that dates back millions of years. Fans now have a chance to buy a piece of baseball history. A New Jersey auction house is selling the glove of the greatest giant of them all. The late Willie Mays used it during the final years of his career from 1970 to 1972. The auction house says the glove was once part of Hall of Famer Reggie Jackson's personal collection, but it did not provide details on exactly how it obtained the glove. That bidding begins in 2 weeks. Communities throughout the country are experiencing a mounting homelessness crisis. Tonight, we turn to the city of Renton in Washington, where an encampment has been visible outside the library for at least a month now. Reporter Alejandra Guzman has more from people on both sides of the issue.
It's a mixed bag when it comes to public opinion. Some people want these folks removed from the area, while others really don't mind them, as this is an open space for everyone. City officials say police routinely patrol the area. Fire officials come out here providing outreach and mental health services for the community, but overall say that the quality of life for all of the residents of Renton is their top priority.
It's like a little slice of paradise, honestly.
The beauty and tranquility of the Cedar River flowing through Renton has kept Shane Coleman nestled in this little community he's called home for the last 35 years.
I watched it turn into like a cesspool.
Just walk a few hundred yards up the river, you're sure to spot lawn chairs cut in branches, worn clothes, office chairs, suitcases, Christmas ornaments, and even electronics. A putrid stack of rubbish emitting a foul smell that seeps from the junk, making it unbearable. Just when
we're getting a tool to actually check, and that also gives us the ability to know that happened and go back on our cameras and look around and be able to see like the situation and look at your strengths specifically.
Another new law requires businesses to advertise their full prices up front, including service fees. This includes prices for things like concert tickets and hotel stays. It's the end of an era for our Bay Area basketball. After 13 years in the Golden State, Klay Thompson now plans to join the Dallas Mavericks. Thompson is set to sign a 3-year, $50 million deal with Dallas. Contract talks with the Warriors had not been going great this offseason. The trio of Thompson, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green have 4 titles and 98 playoff wins, which ranks 3rd of all time in the NBA. Tonight, Warriors fans obviously not happy to hear about his departure.
It's sad to see one of the original Splash Brothers go, but I understand.
It's going to be weird seeing them playing in the same conference with a different jersey on, that's for sure.
Thompson was selected by the Warriors as an early entry candidate in the first round of the 2011 NBA draft. He appeared in 716 career games, averaging 19.8 points. Along with the 4 NBA titles, he's a 5-time NBA All-Star. He's also became the 3rd player in NBA history to make at least 300 three-pointers in a single season. The Warriors putting out a statement saying, in part, "We can't overstate Klay Thompson's incredible and legendary contributions with the Warriors during his 13 years with the team. The amount of joy and happiness Klay provided Warriors fans, Bay Area natives, and Dub Nation supporters all around the world has been immense and cannot be minimized." The team continued, "Klay's legacy will live on forever, and we will look forward to the day we can retire his number 11 jersey at Chase Center. We thank Klay for his contributions and wish him the best as another chapter in his journey is written." Well, that does it for us. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you tomorrow at 7:30. Make sure to download the Fox Local app to your smart TV. You can stream our newscast stories and find exclusive content right on your smart TV. Have a good night.